Hello again, security community, and welcome back to another video tutorial to help you get started and make the best of ServiceNow. My name is Eric Ferron. I'm in Santa Clara, California, and I'm joined today by Keith Reynolds, who is Senior Advisory Solution Architect at ServiceNow and a specialist of security incident response. Hello, Keith. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Hi, Eric, and hi, everyone out there. Very happy to be here. Thanks.
So, Keith, today we're going to talk about SOAR, or Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. And more specifically, you are going to take us through the first episode of a series on security incident response.
That's right, Eric. My team and I often find that our security incident response customers, specifically security analysts, need some help to best make use of the product very quickly. And that's what we're going to go through today.
All right. So today we'll first review the security incident response maturity framework. And then, Keith, you will set the scene for this series on the management of security incidents. And then you will take us through the first phase that is called ingestion.
Yes, we'll look specifically at how to ingest security incidents into the ServiceNow application, the various methods and technologies available, and I'll show you some demos with recommendations and next steps.
Excellent. So let's get started with this maturity framework that many of our viewers will be familiar with, starting with maturity level 0, before the use of ServiceNow, where analysts use mostly large combinations of spreadsheets and spend a lot of time connecting dots. What we call maturity level 1 is really the beginning of the ServiceNow journey, with the first automated steps and a great increase in visibility that quickly lead to maturity level 2 with enrichment, accelerated response, and an overall much better and more effective system. All the way to the right is the ultimate state of maturity, maturity level 3, with a fully integrated system that allows continual improvement to really stay on top of security incidents at minimum cost and time spent. So, Keith, how do the various phases of security incident management fit into the maturity model?
So starting with level 0, where most customers start before they have a system like ServiceNow Security Incident Response, they're going to go into their basic operations, right? We want to figure out how to ingest your security incident data into the system, whether they be coming from manual sources, from point security detection tools, or your SIEM or other aggregated sources. Really, we're talking here about establishing security incident response as your system of record for all security incidents. Now, in level 2, we're going to be talking about doing things like automating response processes, as well as enriching data related to your security incident. And in level 3, we're ultimately talking about orchestrating actions among tools outside of the ServiceNow platform to really enhance and automate your processes. Today's conversation is going to be focusing strictly around the ingestion, right? And those technologies and methods that we're talking about to establish security incident response as your system of record.
All right, Keith, thank you for setting up the scene for us. The floor is now all yours to explain all we need to know about the ingestion of security incidents.
Thanks, Eric. So the first thing we need to address to understand ingestion is the variety of sources and technologies that are available to us. Each of these methods have a role to play depending on your situation or use case. Overall, we recommend to automate as much as possible in order to drive efficient workflows. On this table, I've broken down the different sources of security incidents and the various technologies we use within the ServiceNow platform to integrate with them. I've also, somewhat subjectively, assigned a level of complexity for configuration of each, as you see across the top. We're going to be reviewing each of these technologies in this session, starting with the manual entry sources, where you'd be using ServiceNow forms, catalog items, or UI actions to create security incidents. As you might imagine, this is a relatively simple method to configure. So as you see, I've labeled the complexity on that a 1. Each of these technologies have their own benefit and drawbacks based on the use case you're trying to solve for. Ideally, we want to drive you towards the store apps, which provide for the easiest and most supportable model for ingestion integrations. So we're going to start with the manual entry sources. And this, of course, relies on humans to actually enter an incident. They might do that through a form, through catalog items, or through UI actions within the platform. Some of the use cases around manually entering this are that your SOC analysts might be fielding ad hoc reports from anyone via phone or email. and they need to enter that and track it. The IT support team might need to be able to raise a security incident from an IT incident, or it might be that you haven't yet integrated some of your sources and you need a place to enter incidents immediately to be able to get usefulness out of the tool. The pros here, you can obviously get started quickly using security incident response through this method. I think there will always be a need to manually log security incidents. You want to do that occasionally and use your judgment in doing that. And of course, you can identify new sources that can be automated in the future through this method. So some of the cons, this being a human process, are of course scalability, subjectivity, and data quality. Those three things may suffer if you rely on this solely. So really, you want to strive for better. These should never be your only method of consuming security incidents within security incident response.
All right, so this is a good way to get us started. And I believe you're going to show us a demo now.
Absolutely. Let's get into that. So the first thing we're going to do is create an incident manually using the Security Incident Analyst workspace. So to do that, we're just going to click the Create Incident button here. And I'm just going to make up some stuff here. We're going to choose a laptop, a MacBook Pro, as the affected configuration item. And this is affecting our user, Kyle. We're going to pick a category for this incident of equipment loss and stolen equipment, and we will give this a source of phone. So in our scenario here, Kyle has called into the security help desk and has created an incident based on this. We also have a required field here for short description. So we're going to give it a short description here. Kyle has had his laptop stolen again. So we'll use that and we can just go ahead and create the incident. And that is going to start tracking on all of the things that we need to track with regards to a particular security incident. If you noticed, we could have selected a lot of different categories from there. You'll see some things that have happened automatically, including our location has been updated based on the location of the configuration item, as well as a risk score has been assigned to this based on our risk score calculators. We're also showing the state here of analysis. So since this security incident has already been assigned out based on our assignment rules, in this case to Jay Wang, the state has automatically advanced to analysis. So very easy here. Your particular configuration will dictate which fields are required. I would recommend that you at least include a configuration item, affected user, and category for the incident you're going to create there. Again, this is an ad hoc request. This is what I would recommend. As with all of these manual methods, you want to use this sparingly, and you can adjust your access to allow only particular security analysts to manually create an incident. Okay, next we're going to look at security incident catalog items to create a manual incident. So I'm looking at a list of out-of-the-box catalog items for security incidents that exist. As we can see over here, this is my security incident catalog. And we can see there's a bunch of items for a number of different types of incidents. A catalog item is simply a template that a user can access based on their role that guides them through the creation of a particular type of incident. To start with, I'm going to use a DMCA violation, and we'll take a look at that catalog item. That's going to create what's called a security request. The security request will then be converted manually into a security incident. So we can see that through a UI action, which covers another topic that we're talking about here as well. So again, we're going to start with this DMCA violation. And there's a couple different types of DMCA violations, either the illegal distribution of copyrighted material, illegal possession, or an official DMCA notification from a copyright owner or legal representative. So we're going to pick that one, and we're going to say the location of this was in Austin. The short description, as you can see, is pre-populated. We'll give a detailed description, copy of Bad Boys 2 found on network. That's an actual incident that I ran into with a customer before. We were talking about use cases, so that one just cracked me up a little bit. And this, by default, has a priority of low. So we'll go ahead and submit that, and that's all there is to create the security request. Now, if we go over and we look at our security requests under here, under our inbound requests, we'll take a look at show all, and we can see here is our request, official DMCA notification, number 1016. So we can see all the information was copied over that I put in there, the location, the priority, the short description, and the description. Now I'm going to use what's called a UI action to convert that to a security incident. So you can see here, convert to security incident. Before I do that, I'm going to choose a configuration item that this is tied to, and we'll save that, and then we'll go ahead and convert this to a security incident. You can see the underlying security request has been set to a state of closed, so that request is no longer open, and security incident 20021 was created. So if we click into that, we can see that this was requested by the system administrator. That's who I'm logged in as in this case. The location's Austin. The short description is official DMCA notification. And of course, I can tie categories, so forth to that. This also has been assigned a risk score based on the configuration item and other characteristics. So that's how you create a security incident through a catalog item and UI action. The next topic we're going to talk about is email parsers. The main use case here is that your security operations center might already be getting standard emails from detection tools alerting you of events, and you want to automate that entry into security incident response. The benefits of using email parsers are the simple configuration. You can stand up news sources quickly. There's no coding involved. It's simply a matter of mapping name value pairs from the email. And this can be administered by your security incident response admin. Some of the drawbacks here is that this might be limited by capabilities of your source tools to create a standard email. And we'll see that in the demo here. So the long and short of it is this is a great way to quickly automate a known source of security incidents.
All right, let's move to the demo.
So email parsers are a very simple way to programmatically create security incidents within security incident response. If your security system, whatever that might be, has the ability to send a pre-formatted email with name value pairs, you can use an email parser within security incident response to parse that out to create an incident. I'm going to show you a quick example of that based on how I have this set up. So under security operations in the email processing menu, you want to look at email parsing. And I've set up an example here. The active email parser that I have on my system. The active email parser that I have on my system is this email ingestion alert sample. And we can take a quick look at what that does. This is going to look for any email coming into the system from my address, and it's going to search for emails where the email subject contains the word security alert. And below this, I have some field transforms. So these are basically one-for-one field mappings of a short description with a description value I provide, the device that the security incident was detected on, and the category that the security incident falls into. So let's just take a look at that category field mapping. And we can see we're mapping to the field category. We're using a value prefix, the word category, and a colon, and the end of the value is the end of line. And that's going to map directly into the security incident category field. Now, that's our email parsing rule. If we take a look at an email, I don't have a system to send this out of, but I'm going to send it out of my email box using Outlook into my instance using an email that directs to that instance. And you can see a couple characteristics of this email. First of all, the subject contains the words security alert. That was part of our parsing rule. And it contains name value pairs for the category, which we'll call malicious code activity. The description of the incident, malware found on a particular CI, and the device, that CI that's contained there in the description. So we're going to send that email into the instance. And after we've given the system a little bit of time to process that, we can go down and look at new security incidents. And we'll see, here's my new security incident, SIR 20024. And we'll look at a couple characteristics of that incident. First of all, the category mapped there to malicious code activity. We can see the configuration item was populated based on the configuration item I provided in that name value pair. And we use the respective short description from the summary that we provided in the email. So that's a quick way to leverage any of the tools in your security stack that can generate an email based on a security event or alert and generate a security incident. We can also use that same process to create a security request or add data to other tables within the security incident application as well. Now we're going to talk about the ServiceNow API. You might use the API from detection tools, your SIEM, or other custom apps. The main use case here is that your security detection tool supports pushing REST messages to external systems, and you want to integrate that to ServiceNow instead of using, say, email parsers, which we just talked about. Some of the benefits here are that we have an open API available, and you can look at that in the platform's API Explorer, which I'll be showing you in a moment. And this is highly extensible, so you can build this out the way you need it. The drawbacks here are development, maintenance, and support. If you're building it yourself, you're going to have to support it yourself. Long and short here is this is another quick way for your security architecture team to integrate source tools to security incident response.
Excellent. And now, Keith, you're going to show us how this works, right?
Well, kind of. I'm going to show you our API Explorer and how you can use that to test and validate your API calls to security incident response.
All right, let's do it.
Perfect.
Using our REST API Explorer, you can evaluate and test your API calls directly on your instance. As best practice, you should consider integrating only to the import table associated with your target table. For instance, for the main security incident table, which is called SNSI incident, there's an import table called SNSI incident import. Using this method, you can then define the appropriate transform definition to create your security incident record. Please review the ServiceNow documentation regarding the REST API and consult with qualified development and implementation resources before building a new integration using the API.
The next technology we're going to talk about here is Integration Hub, and you might use Integration Hub to integrate with other detection tools or your SIEM. The use case here is that you might have a system that you want to integrate with ServiceNow Security Incident Response, but there's no available application on the store. If the system has its own API, you can leverage Integration Hub in order to pull that data into Security Incident Response. Benefits here, this is configurable, very scalable, takes a little bit of coding, but not much. Some of the cons, as with any other development effort, you have to actually do the development and you're going to need to maintain and support that. If there's no integration application available for your product, this is another good way to pull data into security incident response.
All right, and you're going to show us a demo here also?
I am. I'm going to show you an example of a integration using Integration Hub.
To pull data from third-party systems into ServiceNow Security Incident Response, you can use our Flow Designer and Integration Hub technologies. There are a number of available spokes for existing tools that can be leveraged for this purpose. Further, the Security Operations spoke contains a number of pre-built actions for interacting with the security incident tables. New actions can be created to call APIs from third-party systems. A REST API action will use a connection alias as well as the REST query type and other parameters to define your API call. Available integration spokes are listed on store.servicenow.com, and this should be your first source to see if a spoke already exists for the system you want to integrate with.
Direct integrations. So we're going to talk about integrations that are available on store.servicenow.com. Really, the only use case here is that there's an existing integration for the system available on the store. The benefits here, simple configuration, very scalable, and this is going to be supported by the vendor or by ServiceNow. Can't really think of any cons here. When you're thinking about an integration, you want to check the store first to see if there's an existing integration and leverage that.
All right, and you're going to show us some of these integrations, right?
There's about 20 different integrations with point security tools that we categorize as covering this ingestion use case. I definitely can't show them all to you here.
Of course.
So what I'm going to show you is our store, where you can find the list of these integrations as well as details on their individual capabilities.
All right, let's do it.
So let me take a moment to show you our integrations page on store.servicenow.com. Over on this page, under the integrations tab, we can see everything that's available on the store. Now, if I scroll down, I can look at just the security incident, scroll past it, just the security incident response integrations. And you can see our filtered search results come back with 55 different integrations available from different vendors or for different products. Now, obviously, I can't go into each one of these to show you what each do and how they're configured, but as part of this, I just wanted to give you a sense of the different types of integrations that are available and how I can see those on the store. Now, a couple things to note here when you filter these by application on the store. Again, I'm on the integrations tab. That's where I'm finding these 55 different results. And if you see a icon here, for instance, that is the vendor's specific icon, that means it was developed by them. Whereas if you see the ServiceNow icon, like for this CrowdStrike Falcon Insight integration, that is developed by ServiceNow. So you can tell who has developed these individual integrations and who would support that for you. If you dig into the details by clicking on any one of these tiles, it'll tell you a full description of the integration itself, what its purpose is, the release notes, as well as what supported versions are available as far as the platform goes. So a lot of information you can get here about individual integrations for both ingestion and enrichment and orchestration use cases.
So gold standard SIEM integrations, also available on store.servicenow.com. Use case here is that you already have a SIEM where you're aggregating most of your security events and alerts. That's your centralized source of detection data, but it's difficult to report from, lacks useful incident management capabilities and incident lifecycle capabilities. The pros to using these gold standard integrations, again, simple configuration, including robust field mapping, event filtering, and incident aggregation capabilities. These all provide two-way integrations that update status on source events or notables based on the security incident state, and these are very scalable. Again, as with the direct integrations, no real cons here. This is really our sweet spot and the preferred method for ongoing operational excellence with security incident response.
So ideally, this is where we want all our customers to be.
Absolutely, that's right, Eric.
Excellent. So what are you going to show us here, Keith?
I'm going to show you how to configure our Splunk integration, which is representative of the other gold standard SIEM integrations available on the store.
Excellent.
So here I'm going to show you the ease of configuration of one of our gold standard SIEM integrations. This one in particular is Splunk Enterprise Security. So we're going to set up a quick Splunk ES event profile here. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is to set that up and to map a Splunk notable from ES into a security incident. So we're going to go ahead and click New here to create our profile. And we're going to give that a name. We're going to call that malware. And our source is going to be our Splunk ES system. Now I've pre-configured that in this instance by giving my integration the Splunk base URL and my API user credentials. So that's all I had to do to set up that source that you see here. So we'll continue here and pick our notable events. And you can see we come with a list of all the pre-configured notable events in Splunk. And we're going to pick one that I have on this test system that I know has some data behind it. So we'll continue on after we've picked that notable event type. And you can see here is where we actually do the mapping of that data into our security incident. So one of the neat things here is that we can fetch sample data. So I'm going to click on the button to fetch that data. And as that comes back, you see 5 events that came back, and I can use that data to help me in my mapping. All might be slightly different, but since they're coming from the same correlation rule, they'll look more or less the same. So we're going to give it a category, and just to show you a couple different ways to do things here, I'm going to hard code a category here of malicious, JOUS, yep, code activity, because I know that's how I have it set up in my base system as far as security incident categories. And I'm also going to map a configuration item. So down in the list here of our sample data, I'm going to look for the host data pill and bring that over and map to configuration item. You'll also notice here I have the full capability to do further field translations of that data. We're going to leave this one as is for the time being, for the purposes of time. So hard code a category, bring in the host as the configuration item, and we've also pre-configured here a work note that includes some information from Splunk, and there's some variables embedded here, as you can see with the $ prefix in that work note. So we'll leave it at that for the purpose of time. So a couple quick fields to be mapped. And you'll see down below, I can also do a number of things like build incident generation conditions. So I can filter based on conditions from the alerts. If I wanted to, we're going to leave that alone. And I can also build aggregation conditions. What these allow me to do is aggregate to a single incident rather than create a new security incident for each notable event that comes over. So we have those capabilities in as well. We're going to leave that alone, again, for the purpose of time, and move on to the next step, which is to preview the mapping. So we're going to pick one of those particular events that we brought in and look at the security incident preview based on that. You can see I've mapped my configuration item there, and I can also see my category came over as malicious code activity. We should be able to see, we don't see the work notes here because they haven't been generated yet. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. There's our work notes. So we have all of that built in. Next, we're going to build our schedule. So we'll continue here. And you can make this an ongoing event ingestion where we're polling every 5 minutes. This is a poll, so we're pulling from Splunk rather than Splunk pushing to us. And further, as we move along, we can look at additional options. These additional options allow us to update the notable event back in Splunk when the security incident is created. So we can choose that option here. So we can say when security incident is created, I'm going to set the notable event back on Splunk to in progress. And when the security incident is closed, I'm going to then close the notable event back in Splunk. So that way we keep everything in sync. And we'll go ahead and finish that. And this is telling me that the profile needs to be changed to active in order to run, because I forgot to click on the active button. As you can see, that is false here. So we'll just fix that real quick and turn it on. And that is it. So we'll save that and update it. And we're good to go with our Splunk profile. So that's all there is to setting up a new notable event from Splunk ES into a security incident.
Well, thank you for all of this, Keith. We're coming to the end of this tutorial. And as usual, to close, it'd be super useful if you could give us some concrete, tangible action items so that our audience who's gone that far can take your advice further and really get started with what you've been showing us.
Absolutely, Eric. My pleasure to do this today. So first and foremost, if you're doing a lot of manual work, see how you can automate that. We can use automation to really drive workflows and drive efficiencies in your work processes. If you're building integrations, please talk to your account team and find out if there's anything on the roadmap for the products you're looking to integrate to. If you already have a lot of automation built into your security incident response application, stay tuned for our next tutorial where we'll talk about automation. And then, of course, ask questions in the community. Eric will give you more information about community.
We advise everybody to go to the community, to subscribe to the Security Operations Forum to make sure that you get the latest and greatest information about what's going on. Keith has mentioned the product roadmap. You will also find inside of the community a private forum for the Security Operations roadmap. We strongly advise, if you are a customer, to talk to your account team and make sure that you're invited to the quarterly events. So again, Keith, thank you very much for your time.
It was my pleasure.
And to our audience, we'll see you next time for the episode on automation.
Bye now.